I love starting this show by saying the Baltimore Ravens have won a playoff game because I don't get to say that very often. I think that's the third time since 2019. So we take those. We
Yep.
take those. Noah did not get to come after me this week. Hopefully not this upcoming week either. But I guess this is a good time to say we're the Career Backups podcast show. This is my former roommate and friend and co-host, Noah Presnell, big Panthers fan, if you didn't know. So he has an unbiased opinion. So anything that he says, there is no bias involved. Now, for me, if I talk about the Ravens, then there probably is a little bit biased.
We couldn't tell because of your background.
Yeah. I think I'm a Steelers fan.
Yeah, for real.
So a lot of football this weekend, a lot of playoff football this weekend. Had a ton of fun watching all of the games. There were some really bad blowouts, which
most of them. Yeah.
And I didn't see many surprises. I don't think. I think there were maybe two, but one of the surprises was Houston. I was blown away by the Houston Texans, and me and you were on the same page. We thought the Chargers were the better football team overall, and they just came out and dominated defensively. Justin Herbert had 4 interceptions, and the Texans won 32-12. Did we underrate the Texans, you think? Maybe because they backed their way in to the playoffs, because their defense is really good, and it's been great all year. And coming back and thinking about it, I didn't really take that into consideration in the playoffs, but maybe I should. How good is your defense and how good is your run game? And you can win playoff games with that format. And that's what the Chiefs have done in the past and past Super Bowl champions as well. So not saying that Houston's going to win the Super Bowl or anything, but do you think that maybe the Texans are better than what we thought?
Watching that game felt more like an indictment on how poor the Chargers played more than it did. Like, I just wasn't super impressed by the Texans. I know we talked about it because Greg Roman used to be the OC for the Ravens, but that looked like a Greg Roman playoff offense.
Yeah, it was a hard watch. It felt so good to see other people see it with another quarterback.
Yes.
It felt so good.
And a quarterback that is, Lamar's always had the running back stuff, but like Justin Herbert's thrown for 5,000 yards, 30-plus tuds. Like, everyone knows he can sling it. They've been good on defense and running the ball all year, which has allowed Herbert to take care of the ball. He doesn't have to force the ball downfield. They abandoned the run. Dobbins only had 9 carries. Gus Edwards had under 10. Both of them average carry yards was 3 and below. So just not establishing the run game, which then you're having Herbert having to sling it. They don't have the weapons to really do that. And then, some of the picks were Herbert's fault. Like, he definitely didn't look great, but then you have some drop passes that turn into picks. So watching that game was just more of, to me, wow, the Chargers look terrible, than, okay, the Texans are completely dominating. CJ Stroud looked better and made some plays, but they still had the issues that I feel like they've had all year on offense. What were your thoughts taken from it?
Yeah, I'm kind of on the same page. I wasn't impressed. I was surprised. I shouldn't say I was surprised because it's a Greg Roman offense. I think I'm more like, I think that was the best matchup the Texans could have gotten in the first round because they don't have the weapons on the outside. And Houston is so good against the pass. And if you are not an efficient passing offense, you can't beat the Chargers. So I don't know. I kind of felt like it wasn't all Justin Herbert's fault. Like, I know people are already going and saying this guy has been in the league for 6 years or whatever it is, and he has no playoff wins. And I'm like, whoa, slow down. First of all, he had to deal with Brandon Staley for all those years, and he set the Chargers up for a playoff win that first time around. You scored 28 points or 27 or 30, whatever they scored. That's enough to win a playoff game. You should win a playoff game with 30-plus points.
And then 3-score lead at one point.
Yeah, I'm not saying like he wasn't good. Like, I'm not saying he was not bad. Like, it was his worst game all year. 4 interceptions is inexcusable. But when you don't have the weapons and you have Quentin Johnston dropping easy passes all game long, you have no one you can trust. Like, what are you supposed to do? Like, he kind of had to force the ball. And that's what happened with Lamar and that offense back when Greg Roman was the offensive coordinator there. I'd be surprised if they keep Greg Roman after that.
I mean, I don't think they will. Even beyond like just the abandoning the run. I mean, even some of the play designs, the interception where it was a boot rollout to the right, but Quentin Johnson's running a double move post on the left side of the field. You're having Justin Herbert throw like a 25-yard pass 50 yards in the air.
Yeah.
I mean, he had no options in front of him. So just play calling was weird. Offense wasn't moving the ball on the ground. It was just a poor showing to me on every facet, not just on Justin Herbert.
Yeah, I agree. And the fact that it's the same thing with Greg Roman every single time in the playoffs. Like, you establish a run game in the regular season, you get down by a couple scores, and you stop running the football, and then you don't have the passing concepts to be able to throw the ball 50 times a game. So, like, we have seen Justin Herbert, like you said, throw for 5,000 yards, throw for 30-plus touchdowns. So I'm not really worried about Justin Herbert. I still don't sway my opinion of him. It just kind of sucks because the people who defend Herbert, you have to sit there and hear people say how bad he is. Yeah, we're not looking great.
No, but I'm in the same boat. I mean, he's an elite QB. You can win Super Bowls with him. It's not an indictment on him being a bad player at all. He just had a bad game, but the entire team looked like crap. So,
yeah, I don't think any quarterback. It would be hard unless you're like Patrick Mahomes, maybe Josh Allen. I know that Lamar Jackson didn't do it in the same offense. No. So, like, and that's the top quarterback in the league. So I don't even know if Josh or Pat Mahomes could even overcome those kind of passing concepts and schemes and getting down. But CJ Stroud didn't look great either. Like, nobody really talked about that because they won. But I'm surprised that no one has really brought up how bad CJ to me was not great. No, I don't know how you felt about him, but yeah.
He had the one play right before the half, the fumble that he picked up and kind of created and then got the ball downfield that I think that put the Chargers in scramble mode going into the second half. You know, I think that's where they kind of got away from the run, being down like they were. But I mean, outside of that, it kind of looked. You saw flashes of last year, but you also saw flashes of this year where it was like he's unsure sometimes. The accuracy isn't 100% there. So I wasn't really, like I said, thoroughly impressed with anything the Texans did. More so just like, wow, the Chargers look really, really bad.
Yeah, for sure. And going into next week with the Chiefs having the Texans again after they just played like 3 weeks ago, I think. Mm-hmm. And I'm curious, do you think that, so the Texans last time, I believe the score was 27-19 is what I saw today. So 1-score game. And I remember that game, and CJ Stroud threw 2 interceptions. And I tweeted this today. I'm like, I really do feel like Houston's defense could win this game if the offense doesn't turn the ball over. But that's asking for a lot against the Chiefs defense. Do you think that Houston even has a chance in Kansas City? Because I think they have a better chance than maybe what others might think.
No, I think they do. And I'm not saying that because of anything that I saw from the Texans this weekend. That's just how the Chiefs have played football this year. Like, they have had close games all year against teams that you wouldn't think. And whether their offense played well, like they did against the Panthers, they put up 30 points, and you've got Bryce Young almost putting together a game-winning drive. And the Raiders game was close. They had really close games against bad teams. And I think that's just how they kind of play football right now is, their defense is going to make stops when they need to. The Chiefs are going to put them in position to have a chance at the end of the game and let the best quarterback in the league go win the game if they have to. So I think it'll be a close game, but specifically more just because that's just kind of how Chiefs football has looked this year, like just winning when you have to. Not because I think the Texans are necessarily going to do anything to make it a close game, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, it's also the playoffs. So, I see one thing that does irritate me is I see a lot of people say that these offenses in December, they're like, oh, well, it's not the playoffs yet. We haven't seen everything. And I'm thinking to myself, like, around December, you pretty much see what kind of football team you are. Like, people are like, oh, they have more in their bag. And I'm like, maybe like a couple plays, but mainly who you are at that point offensively. So I know who the Chiefs are. Like, they've gotten better as the year progressed. I know that Patrick Mahomes is great in the playoffs and he doesn't turn the ball over as much. So I think the thing is, I think it's going to be hard for the Texans to go into Kansas City and win because they've already been there. Andy Reid gets a bye week, so he knew the Texans were winning by halftime. So he's had so much time to prepare. I just don't see a way where Andy Reid gets 2 weeks to prepare, just played the same opponent, and now he got to game plan for them again. I don't know. I just don't think it's this year, but I think the Texans can build off of this year and learn and grow. And I think it was kind of needed after the big year last year.
Yeah. I mean, people were saying C.J. Stroud was going to win a Super Bowl in his first 3 to 5 seasons. It's like, okay, let's pump the brakes now. He's not Superman.
Yeah, exactly.
He needs a little help.
Exactly. But yeah, I'm excited for that game. I think it will be close. I don't think it's going to be a blowout. I guess for a score prediction, I would say something like maybe 27-20. That would be maybe my prediction because I think the Chiefs' offense has just played better, and the Texans aren't playing great offensively. I just would find it hard for them to score anything over 20 points in this game.
Yeah, I agree. I have it a little bit lower scoring. I think it'll be about 24-17 Chiefs.
Yeah.
I think the win by a touchdown. I don't think the Texans break 20. I don't think the Chiefs' offense hangs 30 on them, but I think the Chiefs will win. It'll be a close game if you look at the box score, but they'll be in control most of the game.
Yeah, exactly. And I am not going against – everybody says I'm not going against Patrick Mahomes. I'm not going against Andy Reid, I think, with a bye week. I cannot do it. And I think he's historically great after the bye week as well. So, and then this past weekend, I was at this game. It was awesome. Went to a Ravens versus Steelers game. I mean – the Ravens dominated. They won 28-14. I know it sounds closer than what it is, but Baltimore was up 21-0 at halftime. And the Steelers just gave up. Like, you could even go and watch. They were still in the game. Like, after they scored that first touchdown, it was 21-7. Like, a 14-point deficit isn't insane. I don't know. Like, I know we're supposed to talk about Baltimore first, but I think the Steelers need to consider trading Mike Tomlin because at this point, like I know Deontay Johnson just got dumped off the Houston Texans today, which is wild, but
what's that?
He's had
4 teams in a year.
Yeah, it's insane.
3 this season. Yeah.
Yeah. I hate the Panthers for trading him to Baltimore, but yeah, I thought it was a fleet. Now I understand. I understand why they didn't give up very much. So we didn't understand at that point, but I do apologize because the Panthers did well. They at least got something out of him. But yeah, I don't know. They had the Deontay Johnson thing. Then you have the George Pickens situation where people are speculating he might not want to be there. You had the AB situation. I know wide receivers are divas, but you have these people over and over. Like, it seems like the locker room starts to lose it towards the end of the year. I just feel like maybe his message is stale at this point, and you might as well get assets because I think a team like the Jets would trade a first-round pick for Mike Tomlin. Depending on where their first-round pick is, or a future first or a future second, I think that they need stability and the Steelers need change. And I think it will work out for both sides.
I think it depends on if the Jets are keeping Rodgers. I don't think Rodgers and Tomlin mesh well. Are we assuming
apparently they're best friends? So apparently they're really good friends.
Yeah, but I mean, I feel like they're both kind of like do it my way guys. I mean, like we see Aaron Rodgers get over to New York and he's bringing in all his old buddies. I mean, Lazard's coming in. You know, Mike Williams gets tossed off the team like 2 weeks after they kind of had that spit in the post-game interview. So I mean, I don't see Tomlin and Rodgers meshing well. I see if Rodgers is gone, Tomlin coming in and establishing a culture. You know, it's kind of weird with the Jets. They on paper look like they have a good team and then they underperform like year after year. So
right, and that's why I feel like I don't feel like it's necessarily Mike Tomlin's fault because either way that we look at it, he hasn't had talent at the quarterback position. Sometimes they've overpaid some players defensively, like Minkah Fitzpatrick looks like shit now. Dante Jackson, you knew how bad he was, and now it's coming to light. They were all
Bateman
excited about him, and now they're like, I don't want him back. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's easy. We saw that one coming.
Yeah. So, I mean, I feel like he's just done more with less, and I feel like if you give Mike Tomlin a talented football team like Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams and Sauce Gardner in that defense, like I feel like Rodgers at this age, I feel like think about a guy who but don't say out loud, that is kind of like Rodgers in the sense where he does things his way. But I feel like those guys in the locker room kind of beg for stability and for a head coach to put them in line, because it kind of gives them respect towards that guy. Like, I feel like Rodgers didn't respect Robert Saleh because he was on his hands and knees basically saying, please save us. Like, Tomlin doesn't need to do that. He'll be like, you're going to either do it my way or you'll leave. And he knows that he's won a Super Bowl. So, and I think Rodgers would be in a different place if he was with like Bill Belichick. And he's never had a head coach like that. So maybe it does work. And maybe they are talented enough. I know I don't want to make this a Jets segment, but I mean, there was reports about the Steelers not getting rid of Mike Tomlin, so it's probably not going to happen. But like, where do they go from here? Because there's going to be no difference at all.
I don't even know. That's why it's been so tough, because I feel like we've had this conversation about the Steelers since Big Ben retired. Like, it's kind of been like, okay, where do we go from here with the Steelers? It's time to hit the reset button and tear it down. Well, then it's like, okay, the season comes around. It's like, well, they're right there. Like, they're clearly not going to win a Super Bowl, but like, they're winning games. They won the division, 3 years ago, the year Lamar was hurt. And so it's like they've been competitive. They just haven't had enough to get over that hump. And so it's like, okay, do we completely tear this down, or do we get a couple more pieces? What are those pieces? I mean, it's hard to go and get a quarterback and plug them into a system in free agency unless you have the weapons there, like the Vikings did this season. But they don't have any of that. So it's like Najee Harris is on his contract year. They're not picking up his option, so he's going to be a free agent. So it's just kind of like, do they focus on building around the quarterback position, or do they go out and get that guy and then try to build around him? There's a lot of question marks. I'm very confused if I'm a Steelers fan right now.
Yeah, I'm very confused, and I'm very irritated, and I see it all breaking down on Twitter, and it's the most hilarious thing I've ever seen. But also, I get their frustration. Like, I understand they want change, and maybe that's Tomlin, or maybe it's the GM. I feel like he's not catching enough heat, Omar Khan, because he didn't get a receiver in for he tried, but he didn't successfully do it multiple times. Brandon Ayuk, he tried to get Cortland Sutton, I believe. They tried, but why did he not succeed? Like, there had to be a situation out there, and he got Mike Williams, and you're like, he didn't do anything with the Steelers, so obviously not a good fit. You go out and get Russ, and you get Justin Fields, and you bring both of those guys in, and Justin Fields plays well, Russell Wilson kind of plays well, but they're not the answer. So it's like, how is he not catching the heat as much as Tomlin? Because he's giving Tomlin these players, and it's not enough.
They've just kind of like tried to bandage everything because they've been good enough to compete, that they're just like, okay, well, if we just kind of get like an okay guy here, or like a vet here, maybe that can kind of push us over, instead of like actually having that playmaker.
Right.
So, I mean, Watt also didn't do much this back half of the season either. So, I mean, even their superstars.
I don't think he was on the stat sheet for like a month.
He had like a half sack or a half tackle one game. So, I mean, like even their superstars were kind of just not playing up to potential. So
he had to be hurt. Like that, I just don't believe that he is that bad, that the fall off is that. If it is that gigantic, there is no question in my mind that Myles Garrett is 1,000 times better. Like,
yeah, that is insane.
I've never seen Myles Garrett go ghost. Even with bad teams, he's still getting sacks. He's getting 10-plus sacks a year.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't even know who's going to win Defensive Player of the Year. I guess it's Pat Surtain.
It's PS2, yeah.
Yeah, kind of has to be at this point. What about Sam Darnold, though? I mean, that might be – I don't think we'll get into that later. I don't think the Vikings keep him. I don't think it makes sense. He played terrible.
Yeah.
It's the Steelers' way, dude. It makes sense. It does make sense.
It does, but like I said, like they don't have the Jay Jettas or the Addison or
but what if they did?
The Hawk. Yeah, I mean, if they go out and get those guys, I think that's different. But are you willing to pay? I mean, even with these bad games, like Darnold's probably going to command a 25-year salary.
I mean, he's going to get what Baker got. I think 35.
Yeah,
would make the most sense.
He's going to be in that 25-35 range. So it's like, are you willing to overpay for Sam Darnold? So, and I'm not caught up to speed 100% on like their cap situation, but how much of that do you want? They have
a lot of money tied up in defense.
That's kind of what I thought.
A ton of money. Yeah,
so
and like, that's like kind of the Steelers' way.
That's their thing. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about a team who's still in the playoffs, Baltimore.
Yeah, let's do it. Mm-hmm.
All right. Are they the best team in the AFC, the Ravens? Because at this point, I'm convinced. Either I'm drinking the juice or I have purple blinders on again. But I felt this way. Yeah, but I felt this way last year, and I still believe that they were the best team in the AFC last year that had an awful collapse in the AFC Championship game.
Mm-hmm.
I just think talent-wise and the way that they are able to run the ball with Derrick Henry is just going into this Bills game. I'm like, I don't know who on the Bills is going to stop Derrick Henry. Like, I don't feel that. But
if the Chiefs offense was healthy this year, if Pacheco wasn't hurt most of the year and Rasheed was playing, I would say they would be probably the more complete team. I think the Bills, you look at it on paper and the Ravens look like a better team, but the Bills perform just as well as they do in very similar areas. So it's hard to say. It's almost, I kind of saw a tweet about it today, just someone talking about like, it's almost like rock, paper, scissors with the three top team in the AFC. Like, the Bills are the worst matchup for the Chiefs, and the Chiefs are the worst matchup for the Ravens, and the Ravens are the worst matchup for the Bills. So it's just like this triangle of like,
I agree. I
that's kind of how
that.
It feels. Yeah, like if I was the Bills at this point, I'd probably rather play the Chiefs than I would the Ravens.
Yeah, like I feel like if Buffalo wins this game, they're going to the Super Bowl. Like, I think they have all the confidence in the world.
Don't count out Papa.
I'm counting out Papa this year, dude. He's not. God, it's going to come back to bite me. I freaking hate Patrick Mahomes. But yeah, I don't know, dude. I just looking at, I guess we can just get into the Bills Ravens at this point, because this is one of the biggest games in recent memory that I can remember. You have two MVP candidates who you can argue for either side. They could even be co-MVPs if you wanted to. And you have two teams, to me, who are very identical. I think Baltimore and Buffalo, they won. What you texted me and you said, I felt like Josh Allen played just as well as Lamar Jackson because they won the same exact way.
Yeah.
James Cook ran the hell out of the ball up front. They were absolutely dominant against a good Broncos defense. And Baltimore, same thing. The D-line for Pittsburgh has been dominant all year, and Baltimore just bullied them. So they won the same way. They didn't need much out of their MVP quarterbacks to win. And they're both like that. Like, they both rely on the run. So I guess what kind of worries me with Buffalo, taking bias out of it, is like, I just don't feel like Buffalo has the guys up front to stop Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson at the same time. I feel like the Ravens, on the other hand, they're the best run defense in the NFL. So, that was the problem the first time they played. And everybody's like, this is a whole different game, but it's not, in the sense of you don't have the elite weapons on the outside. So the Ravens have good-ass cornerbacks. You have Nate Wiggins playing his best football. You have Marlon Humphrey, Kyle Hamilton, and you don't have that number one receiver to take the top off. And then you're going to ask James Cook to run the ball 30 times against the best run defense in the NFL. Like, I don't know. I see a similar result. I think it's closer. Obviously, I don't think it's a 30-point blowout, but I do think this is the worst matchup for Buffalo. And now I'm not going to talk about Kansas City because we're not there yet, but that's a whole different story. But like you said, the triangle is a real thing.
Yeah, that's what it feels like. And it's like I texted you, like, I didn't watch the Bills or the Ravens game and sit there and think like, oh my God, like, this QB is the MVP. Both games were kind of like, they took care of the ball. The offense was just playing really well on all facets. The Ravens defense, I saw a stat that, like, since week, I think it was like 12, I've been the number one defense, like, across the board, like, in, takeaways, EPA, rush, like, they've just been phenomenal this back half of the year, which with a rookie, you guys have a rookie DC.
Yeah.
kind of getting
Zach
used to
Orr.
play calling at the beginning of the year. So I think we kind of saw him kind of find his stride in the back half. But the games just looked identical. They were both playing teams that weren't as good as they were. Defenses were phenomenal. So didn't really give me any leeway to who I think is the better QB or MVP or whatnot.
Yeah. I think I wrote this down, and I think it's true. I think the voters should have waited at this point. Like, they should take back their votes and let's just say, screw it. Either give them co-MVPs, which
Yeah.
I'm fine with, or just decide off of one game and just say, okay, like this person
Go
played
head to
better
head.
in the
Yeah.
biggest game of the year. Like, they were too close. Like, I'd be completely fine with them doing that in this situation.
Yeah.
And I think it's deserved. But we kind of went over it with Buffalo and Denver. But I want to talk about Bo Nix a little bit because I was thoroughly impressed. Surprisingly, everybody was shitting on him all over the internet.
Mm-hmm.
That, to me, was a impressive damn performance for a rookie quarterback when you have your receivers dropping the ball every single play. It felt like he should have had like an 80% completion percentage. Like, he was that accurate.
Yeah, he looked really well. I've been a Bo Nix fan. This has been, in my opinion, the best, especially rookie season QB class that we've had in a while. Like, they've all looked in moments really, really good. And I felt good about Bo Nix all year, especially coming from an offense that was very similar last year with Russell Wilson and has improved this year. I mean, last year people thought the Broncos were a joke, and you get a rookie QB in there with the exact same weapons to kind of come in and play as well he did. Has been very impressive, and especially against a tough team like the Bills, you know?
Exactly. Yeah, for sure. I've been a Bo Nix hater. But I admit when I'm wrong, and this season I was wrong. He played very well down the stretch. He took a Broncos team to the playoffs, and he played damn well in his first playoff game.
Yeah, for sure.
I think he only gets better. Like, do I
they'll
think
be
he's going to
better
be a
because of it,
top
for
10
sure.
quarterback? No. I don't think he's ever going to hit that because I think he's too old, number one. He's kind of in his prime at this point. So it's kind of too late. Like, you get what you get with him because you can't really develop him. Like, it's a little bit too late for all that. But I do think that he'll win a couple playoff games, and I think that he'll change the Broncos culture around. And Sean Payton, we both hate him, but he did a pretty good job this year coaching.
He's a good coach, man. I hate him. He's a good coach.
He is an asshole. Broncos fans hated me because I made a video about him, but
Cheshire Cat looking ass, dude. I cannot stand him.
Dude, he is I don't understand how people. I get if you're like, he's a good head coach, which he is. A little bit overrated. He's not like a Bill Belichick. He's not, in my opinion, a John Harbaugh. I think he's like a tier below. He's more like a Mike Tomlin to me. And he had Drew Brees forever. But anyway, that's a whole nother conversation. So with the Bills, and then we'll get back into that game. Were you impressed with them this past week against the Broncos? Because to me, I wasn't as impressed because I felt like, the Broncos came out and they scored that long touchdown to Troy Franklin on like the first play, third, fourth play of the game. And then Buffalo kind of struggled offensively, and then they started to find their groove. But they had 69 first half passing yards. I can tell they don't have that elite weapon on the outside.
Yeah.
The Broncos defense was in shambles. I mean, these guys were wide open, like in the second half. But that first half, when they were playing good passing defense, and not letting guys just run free, it just looked like they struggled to get anything through the air. And thank God the running game got going, and that Bo Nix and the offense couldn't get anything going because it gave more opportunities for Josh Allen. I think I'm kind of worried about the offense and the fact of if the defense doesn't play well, I don't know how they'll do in a shootout in the playoffs. I don't know, against good teams.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. They're very hit or miss. I mean, the lines was 48-42 Bills, something like that. I mean, it was almost 100-point game. So I mean, so it was high scoring game. It's just a matter of, is Josh Allen going to be? Are you going to have to rely on him to be crazy good? And it's different when he has weapons around him that he can kind of force balls to or make plays. And the receiver makes a good catch, but they don't really have that this year. Like some of those Superman moments were kind of just like he's scrambling around, he's trying to make a play, he extends, someone makes a phenomenal catch or some yak. They don't really have that. Shakur's great with the ball in his hands, but you're not expecting him to go 10 catches for 140 yards and a touchdown.
Right.
So it's kind of like if they don't establish, and I think the Ravens, Zay Flowers is kind of questionable, leaning towards no.
Yeah, that's
this
a big
week.
one
Is that
too.
right?
That one's a big one too. I feel like Baltimore and Buffalo they'll be kind of in the same situation.
Kind of in the same boat. Yeah, it's like they'll both have receivers who can make play, catch the ball, and they'll get open some, but none of them really take the top off or yak threats. So if I'm the Bills, I'm not wanting to play the Ravens. I'm hoping I get the Chiefs.
Yeah. Well, how do the Bills stop Derrick Henry? Because I'm genuinely, I want to get it from an outside perspective because that defensive line is so small and they just don't have the big guys up front. They have Ed Oliver, but outside of that, like, I don't know, man. I'm trying to figure out how they can combat a Derrick Henry, Lamar Jackson running game like they were against Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I mean, I think, people are thinking, let's stack the box, but like we saw, you can't do that. That's what the Steelers were showing 7-8-man boxes. And the first half, it was like I was watching a college offense, watching the read option. I think Lamar had like 9 or 10 rushes in the first half. And
he had like effective. 5 in one drive.
Yeah, it was literally like, okay, I'm playing middle linebacker and the safety's leaking down to help, and both dudes are jumping to the side that Lamar's on, and Derrick Henry runs 50 yards in for the end zone. So you can't really do that. It's tough, man. I don't have an answer. If I had an answer on how to start Derrick Henry, I think I'd be an NFL defensive coordinator.
That's fair.
I couldn't do it, and I sure as hell don't want to tackle his ass.
Oh, hell no, especially in like 13-degree weather in Buffalo.
Yeah, dude, that shit's gotta hurt.
Dude, I don't know. I've tried. I really have. Like, I've tried to take the bias out of him and be like, dude, there has to be a way they can stop Henry. But watching that game back from, I know it was September, and they have Matt Milano, who still trying to find his way back, by the way. We're acting like he's an all-pro Matt Milano. It's not the same exact guy. And I can't figure it out. Like, nobody has. Some teams have played well against Henry, but playing well is keeping him under 100 yards. So that's what Buffalo
88
has
yards
to do.
rushing. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. What's your score prediction for the game, though?
See, I struggled back and forth with this one a lot. And I'm pulling for the Bills. You know me. I'm a Josh Allen guy.
Yeah.
Hope the Bills win. No offense. I think
he's a hate watcher.
I am. I kind of am when it comes to Lamar. I think it'll be close. I'm going 28-25 Ravens. That's what my gut's telling me.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I hope it's not true, but I think that's where I kind of settled at. I think the matchup is in favor of the Ravens, especially with how well their defense has looked. If it was still the defense we saw against, the Bengals both times and early in the year where they were giving up 250, 300 passing yards to just about anyone, I'd probably lean Bills, but they've just been playing so well this back half of the season.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think it sucks for Josh because it really is a bad matchup. I don't think it's going to be because of him. I don't think it's, I don't think he's going to play like he did the first time around. I think they scored more than 10 points. But, yeah, I'm taking the Ravens 30-20. I think the Ravens win by 10 points. I think they keep possession of the football for a majority of the game, and I think that makes it really tough on Josh Allen to get anything going. And I think this is perfect for Lamar because everybody talks about his bad performances, but when the running game is there in the playoff games, that's when he performs his best, and it opens up a lot in the passing game. I am worried about Zay, though. Zay not being in the game and taking the top off, but Rashad Bateman's been playing well. But I don't like seeing Tylan Wallace in a playoff football game. I don't know. But yeah, I think it will be closer than 30-20 like throughout the game, but I think Baltimore pulls away late because of the running game. All right, Eagles Packers. Eagles win 22-10. What a shitty game. I mean, it was awful. It was throughout the entire game. Bad offense. Boring. Bad offense.
Both teams really. Like the Eagles didn't impress me much either.
Yeah, I felt like the Packers were in that game the entire game. Like I was like, dude, if the Packers can figure it out, that Eagles defense, man, it is it's the best defense in football. And it is legitimately, I keep asking myself, like, who can score on this offense or this defense? Maybe the Lions, but either way, like, this Vic Fangio defense is insane.
They're elite. They are elite.
And they have playmakers everywhere. Like, even Darius Slay had an interception. He hasn't been playing well, but, you know, he showed up when you needed him to. The scheme is just, they get pressure on the quarterback. But the offense, let's talk about the offense, because it is a worry. Yeah. Why do you think it's been so inconsistent?
I don't know what it is, man, and it's definitely taken a step back from what we've seen in previous seasons. I mean, you know, last year we were talking about Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown being the best wide receiver duo in the league potentially, and this year you're just not seeing it. A.J. Brown barely scrapes 1,000. You got him reading books on the sideline during a playoff game.
Yeah, that was wild.
He's saying not to look into it, but it's a little weird, you know, like never seen that before. Like, bro pulled out Dr.
And he's
Seuss.
He's like, I bring it to every game, but I'm like, do you read it on the sidelines every single game?
He had to go read how to control his anger and not tell Jalen Hurts to throw the ball. Something. Maybe. So I don't know. You know, I don't know what it is, and maybe it's just too reliant on Saquon. I mean, you know, you can give him the ball and he's good for 5. So maybe they just haven't figured out their pass game because they haven't really needed to rely on it. I don't really know what the issue is. I don't know what the answer is.
Yeah, I don't know. They were only up 10-0 at half, and it just looked like, so they got the fumble immediately as the game started on the kickoff. They go and scored a touchdown, a passing touchdown, when the offensive line gave Jalen Hurts enough time to go buy a house, make a sandwich.
Yeah, dude.
And to Devontae Smith, and I'm like, damn, this is going to be a freaking blowout.
Which shouldn't have been a fumble, by the way. Just
that was
so we're aware. But anyways.
But, I mean, they made plays when they had to. Like, down the stretch, they got the first downs they needed to. They scored enough 22 points. I mean, I'm not too worried about it because I just think that maybe, like, I think they're just way too talented everywhere. Like, it doesn't even matter if they're off. Like, if you get the ball to the playmakers, and I think they just need to get A.J. Brown more involved. I mean, you just have to force fit. Like, remember when A.J. Brown complained, like, to the media saying, like, the passing game's not doing well, and then the very next game
he's got like 11 targets.
And like 150 yards.
Yeah,
like
it was
I feel like that's going to happen all over again. So I know they're capable of it. I think that maybe they were just lazy, and it just felt like they were kind of coasting, like, our defense is so damn good. Like, if we don't score this possession, it's not a big deal.
Yeah, it's like I said, I don't know what the answer is. Jalen Hurts, there's been times where you see him make plays and you're like, that's the Jalen Hurts I remember. Like, I know he's capable of it, and I know A.J. Brown is a top 5-ish, 6-ish guy when he's playing at his highest level, and Devontae Smith is one of the best wide receiver 2s in the league, and they've got the best running back in the league, and you're still like, why is this offense just not capable of scoring 30-plus a game like they should be? Like, you would think they would be putting up points like the Lions are.
Yeah, they should. I think they are more talented offensively than the Lions are. I do. If you go bar for bar between the Lions and the Eagles,
it's very close.
A.J. Brown's better than Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Probably.
Devontae Smith is better than Jamison Williams. You probably go with Detroit's tight end. You go with Laporta over Dallas Goedert. The offensive line they're close. They're very you can
similar.
go either. You can go either. I probably take maybe the Lions. Quarterback's close. Running back's not even a question. It's Saquon. I don't know. They're close enough to Detroit where they should be like looking like them. But I think Green Bay's defense is a little bit underrated. They play very well this year.
They played, they have much better.
You
than
brought
last
up
year.
Jalen though. I have some thoughts about Jalen, but I kind of want to know your thoughts because I've been a Jalen believer. Are you? I don't know. What do you think's happened to Jalen Hurts? Do you think he's lost a step, or it's more of a Saquon show?
I think it's a scheme thing, man. I think, they've had decent running backs play for them, but the real thing has been that their offensive line is so good that you could kind of plug anyone in. I mean, Miles Sanders had a career year and then goes to the Panthers and looks like he doesn't have legs or they're put on backwards. Like, so it's like the Eagles' offensive line is just so good. This is the first time that they've had like an actual like playmaker that no matter what offensive line he's behind, he's going to be good. I just think it's a scheme thing, man. Like, we've seen him be in MVP conversations. We've seen him take a team to the Super Bowl. So I think it's just something that's got to be done differently offensively in the offseason this year. I'm not any lower on Jalen Hurts than I was 2 years ago. I think he's the same guy. People are too reactionary in this league. Like, if I saw 2 seasons back to back like this of Jalen Hurts, I'd be like, okay, maybe I'm a little concerned, but I think he'll turn it around.
Yeah, the bright spots are just so bright, like with Jalen. Like, I just don't watch him and I'm like, yeah, Jalen Hurts just can't throw a football. Like, do I think he's a top 10 quarterback who can uplift the team? Hell no. Like, you can't.
He's fringe.
I disagree. In the postseason, he was so far this past week out of 12 quarterbacks, he was 7th in EPA, 9th in completion percentage, last in yards, which is probably a schematic thing, and 11th in yards per attempt. So I'm like, you know, even if it's a bad schematical whatever, like, you have to play better than that. Like, you just have to. Because it's not the weapon's fault. It just can't be. No. You saw Devontae Smith. He played his ass off. I thought he played a damn good football game.
Yeah, I love Devontae Smith. He's great. He's a wide receiver 1 on like 24 teams in this league.
Oh, I'd take him in a heartbeat. I think he's awesome. Who do you think can compete with the Eagles in the NFC? Because I think they're the best team. I don't even think it's close.
You think the Eagles are the best team?
I do.
I think
the Lions would be the best if they were healthy.
Yeah. I don't know, man. After watching the Rams game that last night, I mean, I know we'll get to them in a minute, but I'm like, man,
they look.
I wouldn't want to play them right now.
Yeah, good thing they're in Philly. I think that helps a lot.
Yeah, I agree. I think this will be. I think it'll be a really good game, a really good game. And that Eagles defense is hard to bet against, but when Matt Stafford's on, that dude can get on. And that's not what I would want to see if I was the Eagles defense. I think he's the best. I mean, he's better than Goff. Like, I'm more scared of him than I am Goff.
Yeah. I think Matt Stafford's the best quarterback in the NFC playoffs right now, undeniably.
Yeah,
I would say.
So it's like
or Jaden.
Yeah, but Stafford's got that. He's got that veteran. Bro's like 48. Like, he's been around the block a time or two.
Right.
So.
Right. I don't think, as much as we want to say the Rams.
You don't think it's
have
happening?
Been great? No, I think it was more of a fluky. The Vikings, first of all, they had to move the game to Arizona. The Vikings had to go on the road after winning 14 games. Like, that is so depressing. Like, you had a chance for a bye week and you lose to your divisional rival and you lose your division after one game after winning 14 games. I think it was in their head. I think Kevin O'Connell just got bitched, to be honest.
Yeah,
he coached his ass off. He coached terribly. That was the worst coach game he had all year, and I made an argument last week that he was the coach of the year. And I'm like, holy shit, dude, you did not have your team prepared, at all. And Sam Darnold, like, you texted me about that last night. They're putting these guys – they're trying to go for the big play every time. And some of that is Sam Darnold's fault. But at the same time, fucking tell Sam Darnold to throw the ball, like, make it easy for him. Like, he just didn't change anything. And that's what makes me not believe in the Rams. I think it was more of a Vikings collapse than it was. I was impressed with the Rams. I think the Eagles are undeniably that good.
The Rams watched that Lions-Vikings game and went bar for bar what the Lions did on defense. They played way more press man coverage than they had all year, and it looked like 2018 Sam Darnold Jets. That dude was out there seeing ghosts, dude. He was lost in the sauce. So I thought it was a hell of a job coaching-wise on the Rams. Like, just being like, okay, this is what worked. We're not really going to do that, but we're going to, like, we don't do that thing well, but we're going to practice it and be prepared to do that this Monday. And they did it really well. Because their offense, the Rams, they have a ton of talent on offense, and that wasn't the thing that was like, oh, Matt Stafford is throwing to Puka for 200 yards. That's why they're winning this game. No, it was all defense.
what the hell did Cooper Kupp do to Matt Stafford? Because he's just gone. Like, I'm surprised they didn't trade him. I'm really surprised because it seems like it's the Puka show and Kyron Williams show, and that's it. That's what worries me too. Is they kind of seem it's either if Kyron Williams comes out of the game, gets a little banged up, or Puka gets a little banged up, they're done. Like that's what kind of makes me feel like they don't. I know everybody's high on the rant. Oh, they're gonna win the NFC. I really don't think they have a chance against this Eagles defense. I think they can shut down two guys. They have too much talent, and they just don't have anything else. As much as I love Stafford, but Packers. Let's talk about the Packers because we kind of went over. We're just jumping everywhere because everything is everywhere this week. It was insane. I want to talk about the Packers a little bit because Jordan Love. Oh man, that was a really tough game. Are you worried about Jordan Love at all? Because now the turnover issue is becoming a problem. It is absolutely needed to be talked about. As talented as he is, he kind of reminds me of Josh Allen, like a couple years ago, like scoring a lot of touchdowns, like looks phenomenal at times, but then he goes and throws ridiculous interceptions, and you're like, holy shit, dude, what are you doing?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was just a lack of anything going offensively, just trying to play hero ball. I think he tried to force a couple things that weren't there just because they were really struggling to move the ball at all. I mean, he was really good, and I even said it in our last episode. He struggled early in the year, was throwing like 1.3 picks a game,
right.
But he hadn't thrown a pick in the last like 7 or 8 weeks.
Yeah,
he was really solid. I know he didn't play the last week, the whole game, but really solid at taking care of the ball. And I thought he would do much better with that, and he did not. It's one of those things where you kind of have to live with it. You see the arm talent like his. I mean, he's probably top 5 just arm talent wise in the league to me. Like I see him make throws that I'm like some guys aren't making. Like most guys in the league aren't making that throw. And I think we got to be patient, man. I mean, at the end of the day, this is only his second year starting. And I know he's in what, year 4 or 5 in the league now, but and so he'll figure that stuff out. I'm not too worried about that. They need a weapon. They need to get someone other than Jaden Reed, who's kind of just a good, they're running reverses and just trying to get the ball into his hands quick, but they need some guys that can stay healthy and play outside the numbers.
Yeah, I think this is pretty much it for Christian Watson in Green Bay. The injuries are, at this point, it's consistently every year. You can never count on him, unfortunately. I think he is a very talented receiver, but your best ability is your availability, and now he's probably not going to play in 2025. So I think he's on his way out. I think they need to make a big, big play for a receiver. I'm right there with you. And the thing about Love, I'm not really worried about Jordan Love either. Kind of like you said, I think people are too harsh on Love, forgetting that he's only been a starter for 2 years. We act like he's been the starter. I understand that Green Bay goes from great quarterback to great, but Aaron Rodgers wasn't great when he first started. He wasn't like Aaron Rodgers now. It took him a couple years and it took Mike McCarthy, and it took them to get the weapons around him for him to elevate. And I feel the same way. Matt LaFleur, though, kind of pisses me off because he tries to run the damn ball too much. And I understand when Love's not playing well, but good Lord, he forces runs. It's like if Josh Jacobs isn't on, we're screwed. We're done. So I don't know. I think the Packers will be fine. I actually think they'll end up being a much better football team next year. I think so they were just a year behind. I think they should have built more on last year, and I don't think they fixed the defense. But
I was going to say their defense turned around a ton, which was a good sign. So it's just they got to add some offensive players, and I think they'll be just fine.
Yeah, problem is that they never go after offensive talent. But they did sign Jacobs last year, so who knows? But they never go after the big receiver. Okay, so Bucks versus Commanders. Commanders win 23-20, the best game of the weekend. Absolutely insane. And here's my take. I think Jaden Daniels is the best rookie quarterback we have ever seen. And respect to CJ Stroud for last year, but he did not look like Jaden Daniels this year. I have not seen a quarterback so freaking composed in
Mm-hmm.
tight game situations. Being, how old is he? Like 21? Like I've just,
Yeah,
I've
he's real young.
yeah, I've just never seen a quarterback come into the league and just be so composed. And I know that people compare him to Lamar Jackson, but dude, it is so hard. You watch him play, like it's like a mirror. Like
Yeah.
he's not exactly Lamar, but his throwing motion, the way that he runs the ball, how agile he is.
Mm-hmm.
I just yeah, I'm very impressed. I think that's the best rookie quarterback season ever. That is the first quarterback since 2012 to go on the road and win.
Yeah.
And for him to win like he did in that tight game situation was super impressive. The fourth down, the going down with what, a minute left and getting the field
Mm-hmm.
goal. Like, yeah. So I don't know, dude. He might be the second best quarterback in the NFC right now. He's that good.
I can't do it anymore. I can't jump on. I'm trying to make my quarterback reactions like at a 2 to 3 year window, just because it has bit me in the ass too many times. Like, I mean, that's what people were saying about CJ Stroud. Is he a top 5 QB? Da, 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 da. Comes in this year, doesn't look even top 10. You know what I'm saying? So I'm trying to pump the brakes. I will agree with, and you said the word that I was thinking of, because I've definitely seen other quarterbacks come in the league that I thought were like I think there was more quarterbacks when I watched their rookie season. I'm like, that person's probably more talented than Jaden Daniels was. Like I think like Russ, his rookie year looked really good, turned that Seahawks team around, but he was kind of similar where he was very composed and they were actually winning. Andrew Luck and Cam, when they came in, were kind of like, these dudes are just freaks. Like Luck was just super smart, very accurate, could move the ball well. Cam was just an athletic. We'd never seen anything like him before.
Right.
But composed is exactly what I was gonna say. Is just outside of the Bears game that was a little, Hail Mary lucky-ish. They played a lot of close games this year, and Jaden Daniels put together some game-winning drives, and that was why I said last week that I felt like Dan Quinn he's my coach of the year, because that's not something. There's some people born for those moments, but a lot of that comes down to coaching, and you're seeing it in practice. You're practicing those things often, and he just looks prepared every time to go and do what needs to be done whenever it's late in the game and it's close.
I disagree in the fact that I think Dan Quinn tried to lose them this game. I think this was his worst coaching performance of the entire year. Like the fourth down with 14 minutes left, down 17-13. I was like, dude, what in the hell are you doing? You take the points and you're down one. Like, I understand the analytics. Go. But sometimes you just got to use fucking common sense. You just got to say, hey, we got 15 minutes left in the game. We'll be down 1 point. So all we need is a field goal to win this game. And it's not like the Bucs were playing good offensively at that point, because they weren't. Like, they just took a lead. They only had 17 points. They were inconsistent. I know Baker played his ass off, but I'm just like, damn. And then he went for it a different time. I forget exactly where in the game, but they turned it over on downs. I understand that they scored on that one, and I get why he did it. That was insanity. I still live and die, but that was a stupid-ass decision, and that they should have lost the game because of that. But Jaden's that damn good. I mean, he just made a play.
Well, I mean, I think a part of it, too, is, Dan Quinn and Dan Campbell, I think, have very similar coaching styles, especially on like those fourth down play calls. And I don't think it's more of an analytical thing. I think it's more of they're just like, we're going to be better than you right here. Like, we need these 2 yards, so we're just going to take these 2 yards from you. And yeah, it doesn't work out sometimes, but I think a mindset like that, especially with young teams, it just establishes this culture within them that like, and that's, I think that instills confidence in a young quarterback like Jaden Daniels. Like, yeah, you're good enough. I have enough confidence in you. I'm going to leave you out here on this crucial fourth down and let you go and try to make the play. It bit him in the ass, but I think long-term, like broad scope of things, that's the kind of confidence as a rookie quarterback that you're looking for your coach to have in you. So
I agree to an extent, but I also think that Dan Campbell is going to cost them a damn playoff game. And I think the same about Dan Quinn. So I'm like, yeah, you can install that confidence into your quarterback and into your team, fine. But when you do it multiple times, like just a ridiculous, it's like, dude, like now you're just playing Madden. Like you're doing it because your ego is too high. Like, it's not because you believe so much in your guys that you're like, I don't give a shit if it's a 4th and 10. I'm going for it because we're down by 4 and it just makes the most sense. And it doesn't for me. But you know who I will say that I was impressed with coaching wise was Cliff Kingsbury.
Yeah.
I thought at that first couple drives, like I was like, holy shit, like they don't have an answer for the Bucs blitz.
Mm-hmm.
And that was something that I was worried about with Lamar Jackson. I was like, oh shit, the same thing is happening in the playoffs with Jaden. You bring the blitz. Dude, completely changed the game plan in a matter of a drive. Quick passing, getting the ball out, using Jaden's legs. Like if I was a team and I saw that, and I know everybody's like, oh, he runs a college offense, but that adjustment in a playoff game, I'm like, dude, he might be a guy I would hire because he has the experience.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm of the mindset that not every OC or DC makes a good head coach.
That's fair.
I think Cliff Kingsbury is very good at installing systems, and I think he's very good at making adjustments. And that's, I don't know that he's a culture leader type guy, and that's not a knock on him. Some people are just suited for other things. I mean, that's what we saw with Eric and Kansas City for a decade, season after season. Why is this dude not a head coach? Number one offense, and then things don't look as sweet as everyone thought they were going to be. So we'll have to see. I don't think it's fair to drive Cliff Kingsbury off his first and his head coach, but
especially in Arizona, he was in a shithole. Who just got Kyler. They didn't have anybody. Like, I think if he builds a rapport with, I think him and Caleb Williams would do incredible things together. Even though I don't think that that's probably the best hire for the Bears, but for Caleb's development, yes. And maybe that goes to your point. Like, maybe he's just an offensive coordinator guy, but it'd be hard for me to watch that game and be like, damn, man, like he completely flipped that. If he can hire a good defensive coordinator, maybe somebody who has that energy and kind of be the head coach, maybe it will work. I don't know. But talking about the Bucs, now that we just had our daydreaming about Jaden Daniels and the Commanders, because that's just the craziest thing I've ever seen, honestly, from a rookie.
Yeah, it was nuts.
It was fun though. The Bucs, Baker Mayfield, man, is he a top 10 quarterback? Because I think it's time we say it, and I think I mean, to me, he played just as good as any other quarterback in the playoffs, and he deserved to. I know the fumble was bad, but what impressed me,
those things happen.
I know,
man.
And what impressed me the most is they panned it to the sidelines, and he said it's my fault, and literally almost in tears because he knew like it was his fault. That made me think like, dude, this guy is a leader. He has grown so much since Cleveland. He's not the dick anymore that everybody thinks that he is. He's calm, cool, and collected. He fights for his teammates. Like, this guy is an A1 quarterback who I would be very happy as my franchise guy.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I hate that. I mean, I'm glad we have Bryce Young playing the way he is now, but I mean, this dude was in Carolina 2 seasons ago. And I hate that we don't have someone like that in our locker room because that's something we need. He is 95% of the teams in the league would be lucky to have Baker Mayfield as a quarterback. And like you said, not just for, I mean, he's got good arm talent, some bad decisions. He throws more picks than he probably should. But that dude cares, and he wants to be out there, and he's a great teammate from outside looking in. Yeah, I think he's probably around 7 or 8 in my list of top quarterbacks.
He's definitely jumped after this season. I mean, if he didn't have all the picks, he'd be an MVP quarterback, like an MVP conversation. He had 40 touchdowns or something.
Like
it was close.
It was crazy. Yeah, he had a really good season.
Yeah, I think he's up there for me. He deserves the respect. I think he's very underpaid. I think if Goff is getting paid that much, Baker, to me, is on the same tier as Jared Goff. And you can debate that all you want, but Baker is more, I mean, I would say he's more mobile than.
I think he's a better playmaker. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Dude, he put his
Goff.
shoulder down to get that first down. I was like, holy, like, I want to go to war for this guy.
Yeah, dude.
I want to play.
Shy. Yeah, no, he's definitely a better playmaker. Goff's better at navigating the pocket, but he's definitely a better playmaker.
Right. But do you think the Bucs can win a Super Bowl with him, with Baker Mayfield? Because I don't know. Do you think that the Bucs can win a Super Bowl with Baker? Because I'm not 100% sure.
Win or go to, that's I think they could go to one just with the quarterback talent that's in the NFC right now, because all the teams are kind of built the same, where they're not really QB top heavy. They're just well established teams. Like the defense plays well, the offensive weapons are really good. I think, Baker Mayfield's a QB you could definitely get to the playoffs behind. He played a good game, and they have a not great defense, even though they looked better early on in the game. But then you got to play the AFC, who you're likely going to be playing Mahomes, Lamar, Burrow, Allen. So it's like, do you feel good taking him against those guys?
If they had enough around him, I know that they have Godwin and Evans. Godwin didn't play all year, basically. Evans shit on freaking Marshawn Lattimore. I was so happy to see that.
Godwin's is a free agent this season, right? I think he'll be out. Probably. Yeah.
They need a running back. I know that Bucky Irving's great, but how great would this offense be with like a elite guy? Like,
I don't know, dude. I'm big on Bucky. I think
as a second back, maybe.
I don't know. He's great after contact, man. But I mean, I think their focus needs to be on defense. That's kind of where they've been let down the past couple of years, and they're going to need a replacement for Evans sooner or later. He's 31.
Yeah.
So
yeah, but don't you kind of blame Todd Bowles for that defense? Like, I know that he's done great. He won the Super Bowl with the Bucs, but he wasn't the head coach. Mm-hmm. He's had 9-7 season. Like, I don't know. Maybe it is a discussion to fire Todd Bowles because the defense has kind of let them down the past couple years. And I think they have the talent, personally. And maybe if they had a better defense, they might have beaten the Lions last year. And I'm giving you a thumbs up again.
Well, thanks.
They beat the Lions last year.
Appreciate that.
Maybe they beat the Commanders, because you knew when the Commanders had the ball, they were going to go score.
Yeah, it wasn't looking good.
Another. So
even with
I don't know.
Doink.
I'm not a big believer in him. I know it sounds wild because he's been successful. I don't think he's a bad head coach.
No, I don't think it's crazy. I mean, they've been in probably the worst division in football, if, debatably the worst division. The NFC South is not good. I mean, the Saints are in shambles. The Panthers have been terrible. The Falcons have looked bad. And they had the game last year, the good playoff win against the Eagles, but that was after the Eagles were kind of backsliding and not looking great. So, I mean, it's not really the same as beating the Eagles this year. I wouldn't be surprised if they moved on. Maybe not this year, but sometime soon if things kind of keep progressing the way they are. I don't know that it's one of those things where you jump off the ship immediately, but it's probably trending that direction. He's probably not the hottest seat, but it's getting warm. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's very valid to say, that's the problem if you're a head coach and a coordinator at the same time. It's like, dude, like, it's great that you're calling plays, but also if your side of the football is playing bad,
this is what you're known for.
Yeah, and you refuse to make any changes there, you're being stubborn at that point, and it's your fault. Right. So, yeah, I don't know. I would love to see Baker with a guy like Ben Johnson or even Dave Canales. Could have been their head coach.
Canales is ours.
I would have liked to have Canales as the head coach over Todd Bowles. That would be my opinion after seeing what happened last year. But the Commanders versus Lions, this spread is way too high. 9.5 points is crazy. It's the highest. It's the biggest spread in Lions history in a playoff game.
Okay, well that's like 4 games. So let's not let's chill. Let's not act like there's like 70 games to pick from.
Facts are facts. You can debate them all you want, but you can't debate the numbers.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I think the spread's too big. I think the Commanders can compete in this game. I really do. How many points the Lions and Commanders are going to combine for, I don't freaking know. It's going to be nuts. I'm leaning Lions, but I think it's a little disrespectful. 10 points. I really do.
I don't. I would bet on that line. I would lean Lions there. I don't. Man, I love Jaden Daniels. He's been great. I just don't think they have the firepower that the Lions do. But what do we know? Last week we said the Bucs and Commanders would be the high scoring game, and it wasn't as high scoring as we thought it was going to be. So
it always is like that. We said that too. We're like, we'll end up being like something stupid.
So I don't know, but I just don't. I don't see it. I think this is probably the most one-sided matchup in
Oh,
my opinion. In my
out of
opinion.
all the games, yeah,
Yeah.
probably.
Yeah. They're just
But
so
it's
young. They're so young too, man.
the Commanders just don't get. But I think they're too well coached. I think they have so much confidence that I don't think they get blown out. I can't see a scenario where the Lions just absolutely dominate them defensively to have a blowout because of all their injuries. I don't know who can stop Jaden Daniels. I mean, the Lions have struggled against mobile quarterbacks.
Yeah.
You saw what Josh Allen did even last year. The reason why I say that is because I watched them against Lamar Jackson and they got blown out. Like, they have struggled with mobile quarterbacks over the past couple of years. So I think Jaden keeps them in this game. If I were betting on this game, which I will not touch this game,
Yeah, me
I
either.
refuse. I'm not touching 9.5 in a playoff game because if I bet the Commanders, they lose by 40. If I bet the Lions, the Commanders win outright. So I'm just not touching that. But I think it's too many points. But that's why I don't bet for a living. The wise guys can do that themselves.
Yeah, for sure.
What do you think about this Lions defense, though? Because it kind of worries me. Like I said, I think they struggle against mobile quarterbacks. I think that they don't have the guys on the outside still. They have no pass rush with Aiden Hutchinson being hurt.
Yeah,
I don't know, man.
They've had guys step up, and they've definitely – I feel like they've outperformed what I expected them to when the injuries started piling up kind of like mid-late season, but nowhere where they would be if they were healthy. But it's just like – I'll say this. Their defense has played well in games that they didn't score like 30 plus. If you go and look at their schedule this season, it's like if they scored 34, they gave up 31.
Yeah.
And it was a close game. I mean, they gave up 48 to the Bills. They scored 42. And even, so I think it's more of establishing time of possession and kind of slowing the game down a little bit to give them some breaks, especially with an offense like the Commanders where they can take the top off. Jaden Daniels can make a crazy play. Austin Eckler looked great in his limited touches.
He looks like he's back in his prime.
Yeah.
Like he's played wonderful this year.
Yeah. He's taken 2-yard check downs into 12-yard gains when he need, he's not out there touching it 25 times, but he still looks great. Right. So I think it's going to be about kind of trying to slow this game down a little bit and kind of establish some dominance that they can over the Commanders instead of, I think if they try to go blowout, we're going to put up 34. I think the Commanders are one of the teams in the NFC that can do that with them.
Yeah. I think you're right in the fact that like they do need to slow the game down, but the part that's going to make it hard is the Commanders are so bad against the pass. Yeah. Like just thinking about Marshawn Lattimore on Amon-Ra St. Brown is already giving me nightmares.
Barbecue chicken, bro.
Oh my God, dude. Maybe I'll just bet on his overs. I mean, I should just look up the matchups. I should text somebody, try to figure out what their game plan is for Marshawn Lattimore, and whoever goes against him, I'm betting on their overs. Jameson Williams, any of them. I don't care who it is. It was so bad. So bad. We forgot some score predictions. So Commanders, Lions, what's your score prediction there? Because it's obviously got to be 10 or more points. So we're expecting a blowout.
I don't know. I don't know. I think it'll probably lean Lions. I don't know if it'll be at 10. I wouldn't be surprised if it was. I'll go 34 Lions. We'll give the Commanders 6. We'll go 34-28.
Oh my gosh, give them 6. I thought you meant 6 total points. I was like,
no, we'll make it close at 6 instead of 9.
Okay. I'll take the Lions, unfortunately. I would love to see the Commanders there because I love Jaden, but I don't mind the Lions winning this game. I think it's going to be closer to like, I'm going to say 40.
Oh my God.
I'm going to say 40-31, which is crazy. I think the line is going to fuck everybody. I really do. I think it's, I think they're going to win. It's 9.5. So I think the Lions win by 9. I think that's going to happen and everybody's going to be pissed off. Everybody.
Okay. So you're reading
the Commanders
script.
get a late field goal or something. It's 28.
A safety.
It's 28. Yeah. So it'll be 28-40. And then the Commanders kick a stupid field goal and cover. Yeah. That's my prediction for this game.
Nice.
So maybe I will bet the Commanders. I'm kind of talking myself into it. All right, last game of the weekend, and then we'll talk about the last game total. We kind of talked about it a little bit, but Rams versus Vikings. You stood up for your guy Sam Darnold. I fucking told you so that he's terrible and he's awful. The lights were too bright. He has the guys. He was terrible. And the sacks that he took, man, I will argue with you all day. He was sacked 9 times and 6 of them were his fault.
Yeah,
like
they were bad.
It was
really
so bad. Like
really
he
bad.
pissed me the hell off. I'm like, dude, even just throw the ball up. I'd rather see him get picked off than getting sacked. Because that shit
really
was
bad.
so annoying. There were guys open. Like Troy, I think it was Troy Aikman last night. He kept saying over and over, he's like, dude, I don't know why he's not seeing
Just
him.
get rid of it. He was seeing
God.
ghosts, man. I told you. It was horrible.
It was bad.
Horrible. Yeah.
Do they keep him?
Yeah, I mean, we already touched on it a little bit.
All right, have you changed your mind?
No, I don't know.
Two
man.
bad games? It's bad.
It's 2 bad games, but then it's like, okay, what do we do? Like, they've got a ton of free agents coming up on defense. They're getting older on the defensive side of the ball. So to me, it's either, okay, do we try to run it back with Sam Darnold and maybe recreate this, or are you kind of hitting the reset button and trying to rebuild everything? I mean, you've got your cornerstone pieces in Jefferson. Hawkinson's, he's been hurt. He's getting a little bit older. He'll be 29 next season. So it's kind of like, what are we doing? Harrison Smith is getting old. He's up there. So kind of your keystone pieces on defense too are getting old and looking to be in free agents. So
Harrison Smith, I saw someone tweet that he's been playing since like 14 BC or something.
Yeah, dude. I mean, he's got to be. But he was great this year. He was great.
Yeah, it's wild. He's got to, I mean, I don't want to say this, but he's got to have CTE, dude. You can't hit guys that hard for 40 years. Like,
he's
you just
old.
can't. You can't.
So I think it depends on what direction they want to take the team in. I think if they go with JJ McCarthy, they have to be. I don't think they'll be able to recreate what they did this year. I don't think they'll be that 14-3 or 12. I don't think they win 13 games with them.
No, I think they definitely take a step back for sure.
So I think it's a matter of, okay, do we try to run this thing back one more year and re-sign some of these free agents, or are we kind of time to move on, put JJ McCarthy in there? Because I mean, this was supposed to be a rebuilding year for them. That's what everyone thought.
Yeah.
So
maybe they actually do go into the rebuilding.
Yeah.
Sense. They were all in on it like before. There's no way that they thought this team, I don't care who you are, you can have as much as belief as you wanted. You could have been the owner. I know damn well they were thinking to themselves, dude, this division, like,
it's toast.
Great coaching job until the collapse, but I just don't believe. I think they were fully bought in to the rebuild, and I think they're fully bought in. You don't take JJ McCarthy in the top 15 and not play him. Like, I think they'd rather see what they have. And Darnold's going to command a stupid amount. I think 35's too much. Maybe 20 would make more sense, but
I'd pay him at 25, and that's where I would stay.
Yeah, I agree. The Rams, dude, played there. They surprised the shit out of me because I came on here and I said, dude, they're DBs. They're going to get cooked. They're terrible. And they played their ass off. Like, they play like that the entire playoffs. Who knows what they can do? I don't think they'll beat Philly. But, yeah, what did they, like, I don't know what changed. Darnold had plenty of time in the pocket, obviously. He had the most time to throw out of anybody in the playoffs and was sacked the most, which is insane. I don't know. I don't know if they can keep that up, though. I don't know how realistic that is because they don't have the talent on the outside. I think it was just a damn good coaching job.
Yeah. No, it was definitely, their secondary played really well. I think a lot of those were just coverage sacks. That shouldn't have been sacks if he gets rid of the ball, but there definitely wasn't too many times that they were open and he could have got rid of it. He should have just thrown it out of bounds. But I don't know, man. I like the Rams right now. They're just playing well. They kind of always do this where they sneak in at the end and they're kind of looking good. And Matt Stafford has that experience, so you might be able to see something out of them. They've got their weapons are healthy this go round, so. I'm not saying they can do anything too
Eagles
crazy.
Played the Rams, I think Saquon had over 200. I think he had 255.
I think he had 200
He
every
went
game
nuts.
this year. I think that's unfair.
But like that was his like, oh, he's
No, he
the
was
MVP.
nuclear. Yeah.
They couldn't stop him. I don't think that the Rams have a game plan. I just don't. You gotta kind of pick your poison. Like, do you want AJ Brown and Devontae Smith to be the ones that kill you instead of Saquon?
I'd rather have that happen.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, at that point, like at least they score faster and not dominate you in the run game, right?
Jalen Hurts hasn't looked amazing this year. If he throws for 303 tuds, I'm like, okay, well, at least Saquon didn't run for 180 and 3 tuds because that's what's happened to everyone all year.
Right. Yeah.
So
I don't know.
I think it's gonna be a low scoring game though. I don't see the Rams cooking them. I think the Eagles will control the ball. They'll do what they're good at. And so I don't really think the Rams.
What's the spread? What's the spread of this game?
If I had to bet,
what would
I
be
don't know
your
what it is right now.
guess?
If I was to set the spread,
Mm-hmm.
I'd
What
probably
would be
have
your
it.
guess?
I'd probably have it at 4.5. What do you think?
I'm gonna say without looking,
higher?
I'm gonna say it's 6.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say it's 6 because I think they're so high on Philadelphia that so the spread right now is 6.5.
6.5.
Yeah, and I would take the Eagles in a heartbeat. I just don't. I don't think it's gonna be close. I think it's gonna be the same situation like I said before. AJ Brown, the passing game sucked. They all know it. Everybody's calling them out for it, and they come out and they force feed their best playmakers, and then they have to respect the pass, and then Saquon Barkley goes for 150. I think Philadelphia wins this game. I think they score 30 points. I think they win 30-17. I don't think it's close, and I don't think the Rams can score enough points on this Eagles defense to keep up.
That's crazy. I'm kind of opposite. This is the one game that I feel like if I'm wrong, I wouldn't be surprised because I've got the Eagles taking it 21-16. I think it'll be lower. But I wouldn't be surprised if this is a 24-21 Rams victory. I don't think that's what'll happen, but like it wouldn't shock me.
If they go into Philadelphia and beat the Eagles, they're going to the Super Bowl. If they can stop them, I don't see a way where the Lions beat them. If the Lions get there.
That's true.
I'm kind of buying myself into this Commanders talk, man. I really am.
Yeah, you got to get your head out of the clouds.
Dude, I really want them to win this game. I love the Lions. Like, I have nothing against them. Like, I'd be so cool with a Lions-Bills Super Bowl to get there first, but maybe it's because I'm close to DC. Maybe
I
it's
hate
just
the Commanders. I
Why?
hate them. Well, because Carolina didn't have a team until we established in '95, so everyone around here is a Commanders fan. Like anyone, like everyone's grandpa's like a Commanders fan. So they're.
I guess it's like
fans.
the closest, right?
Yeah,
like
it's either them or the Falcons. So, but yeah, a lot of people don't like the Falcons. Like my dad growing up, like because we didn't have a team, all nationally or all televised games around here were Commanders games. So that's just kind of what people grew up watching. Yeah.
That does make sense, though, because Virginia's so close, which is close to D.C.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right. So it looks like we have, so me and you, so I have the Ravens versus the Chiefs in the AFC title game. And then in the NFC title game, I have the Eagles versus the Lions. And I think you have the exact, you have the exact same thing.
Yeah. That's what I think will happen. That's not what I want to happen.
Dude, so I might be going to Buffalo this weekend, which is wild.
It's going to be cold.
You're telling me. I mean, it's not going to be it was that cold in Baltimore this past week.
Yeah.
So it's not, everybody's talking about the weather. I'm like, dude, Baltimore, it was a real feel of 15 degrees. I'm like, it's going to be a real feel of 13. Like how much change?
I mean, next week out here, it's supposed to be like real feel of like 11. It's supposed to be really cold next week. So
yeah, I hate this time. And then when football ends, we have nothing but cold weather and depression. So
yeah, cold weather in the NBA.
Yeah. All right. Well, Noah, thank you so much. Hopefully we're right on our predictions.
Probably not.
We were close last week. I think. What did we get wrong? We only got the Vikings wrong. Both were like, dude, the Vikings are going to win this game. Like we were confident.
Yeah, we were way wrong on that one.
Yeah, that one was the worst one. I think that one was the only one that. Chargers.
The Texans and Chargers. Yeah.
Yeah. So not bad. So we were positive, not terrible. But
yeah, I might have picked the Bucs over the Commanders too. I can't remember, but I think I did.
I don't remember. I'm going to have to pull that so I can post it on social. But you didn't get to post me this week for saying Baltimore wins by 10. And I said Baltimore wins by 10 again this week. So,
yeah, until Josh Allen drops 150,000 yards on your head.
All right, that's it from the Career Backups show. Noah, thank you again. We will be back next week, hopefully talking about the Ravens once again, so I can shove it in Noah's face. And if they make the Super Bowl, dude, you might as well not even show up to this.
Yeah, unadded, blocked.
For real. All right, we will see you guys next week, and thank you so much.